The Lord is kind and merciful. Thank God. Why do we allow ourselves to be enslaved? Why do we allow ourselves to get addicted to things? When we become enslaved, why don't we rebel against it? Why don't we fight together? In our first reading today, we hear that familiar story of Moses who had fled Egypt in this cushy life, was now living a life in the desert, tending sheep. And he sees this burning bush, and he's intrigued, and he goes towards it. And God speaks to him from the burning bush and says, Moses, Moses, I have witnessed the affliction of my people in Egypt. I have heard the cry of their complaint against their slave drivers. So I know well what they are suffering. Go to my people who suffer in Egypt and tell them the God of their father, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, sees their suffering and has not forgotten them. You go tell them, I am who am has sent you. You go and tell my people, I see them and I hear them, and in mercy I send you to them. In the gospel today, we hear this parable that you don't always hear about this fig tree. This owner had a fig tree in an orchard among many, and coming again to this fig tree to get his harvest, he finds none. It is fruitless. So he turns to his gardener and says, why should it suck the nourishment out of the ground? Just cut it down. And his gardener, sir, one more year. I'll pay attention to it. I'll cultivate around it. I'll fertilize it. And maybe it'll bear fruit in the future. Maybe it will be fruitful. It's easy for us to get used to taking. Like this tree, it sucked up the nourishment from the ground, the waters that come upon it, but it bore no fruit. It's easy to take. And when challenges come upon our lives that seem weighty, we might even curse God as seeing like, why is he doing this to me? This is uncomfortable, it's challenging. Why has God abandoned me? Why has God abandoned us? But maybe, just maybe, it is God who is heaping that upon us. That which seems like manure is actually fertilizing of grace. The cultivating around us that is uncomfortable. Maybe God cultivating us to suck up the nourishment, but also to bear fruit, which is the purpose of our lives, to take his grace and to bear fruit. For after all, he sent us heralds and preachers and the church and the sacraments and faithful people, your parents and your grandparents, those faithful people around us, to help bring us grace, to cultivate us, that we too, in God's mercy, might bear fruit. It's easy to become addicted to things. Apathy, maybe, even self-loathing, despair, anxiety, addicted to things, even narcissism. What's in it for me? Social status. All those things that we can become addicted to that often don't bear any fruit and don't make us happy or content in any way. We suck up into the world's own psychosis and bear it to ourselves, becoming addicted. For many years, I worked with addicted people, those who struggled with addiction to drug and alcohol. It was always true. Deeper, not very deep on the surface, was always some kind of pain or hurt or fear or anxiety or lack of forgiveness. And so they self-medicated. Purposeless. They could not see their purpose in life, and so things spawned out of control. One thing is true. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety. It's purpose. The opposite of sinfulness isn't increased piety. It's purpose. It's the purpose that comes to us by being children of God, knowing who we are and who we are meant to be. This family, these loved ones, this life which is important that God gave us, that each of us individually has a unique mission in life, from the youngest to the oldest. God has something designed for you, a purpose. Be enslaved. You see no way out. I am who am has sent me to you. I have sent my only Son to you, that you might have peace and mercy and love, to follow the Master, to take up our own cross, as burdensome as it may feel, to struggle step by step up Calvary, carrying our own cross, but also carrying the cross of Christ along with him. For our destiny is both Calvary and Easter Sunday, where we get to join with Christ. One more year, Lord, he says, then he might bear fruit. One more year? What can we do to nourish our own souls? What's available to us? What missionary purpose has God given us individually? How can we save ourselves and save others? God's asking us this Lent and always, discover your gift. Discover your mission. Discover your purpose. Well, there's a real cost to playing it safe, because we are seriously not safe. We are seriously not safe. There is a cost for not answering God. God's heroic mission he has given to you, and you alone. If not you, then who? If not now, when? In another year? When I finish school? I finish the Bible study where I feel confident? When I retire? One more year. This is a change from last night. I got word late last night that my friend and brother-in-law, John, died after a short bent after having a stroke. One more year was not granted to him. One more year is not guaranteed to us. If not now, then when? God, in His mercy, has called you here today. He has given you a purpose, a meaning in Christ. What great victory, what great rescue is yours. And when you rescue someone else, just maybe, you'll rescue yourself. Maybe in that purpose you will rescue yourself. Go to my people and say, I am who am sent me to you. God has not forgotten us. He sees and He hears us. For the Lord is kind and merciful.